For centuries, the guardians of the old paradigm have concealed this truth in temple vaults and coded manuscripts. This is no mere spiritual concept. It's the foundational law Thoth himself inscribed in the sacred halls of Amenti, the cosmic law that inverts reality itself. When fully embodied, all you've ever sought begins seeking you with irresistible magnetism. The reverse law, the most dangerous spiritual truth because it dismantles every illusion of external control, returning your divine sovereignty to your hands. The shocking revelation? You've been wielding this power daily, but in reverse polarity, unconsciously manifesting limitation where abundance should flow. Today, through decrypted hieroglyphic wisdom, verified priestly accounts from Egypt's mystery schools, and immediate experiential ritual that will make your skin prickle with cosmic recognition, I'll guide you through Thoth's original activation sequence. Stay until the sacred finale where I unveil what 99.9% of spiritual seekers overlook: the seamless integration of this law into modern daily existence. No complicated ceremonies, just pure alchemical embodiment. Your perception of reality is about to undergo a quantum metamorphosis. But first, you must gaze unflinchingly beyond the veil of consensus illusion. If these words have already touched your soul, let me know with a like right now. It's not an automatic gesture, it's our silent pact. That like tells me you recognize this truth, that you're ready to embrace it, and that together we're writing a different story. And if you want to be part of a circle that goes beyond listening, subscribing to the channel would be a choice worth considering. Here, we're not numbers. We are awakening souls. Your subscription is the wind that fuels this sacred fire, allowing us to create ever more light. But first of all, that like, just now, because I know you feel, and not just listen. Now, pay attention, for what you hear in the next few minutes could forever change your understanding of manifestation. What is relentlessly sought distances itself from what is already yours. But those who remain silent and observe see the universe handed over to them without being asked. Have you ever noticed how certain things only happen when you stop insisting? It's as if an invisible force waits for the exact moment when you stop struggling before finally intervening. This is no coincidence, and Thoth spoke of it millennia ago. He called this moment conscious surrender. The instant you step aside and allow the flow of life to move naturally again. Think of simple situations. How many times have you spent days or weeks trying to solve a problem, brooding, sleeping poorly, exhausted, and nothing worked? Until one day, exhausted, you decided to let go. And it was precisely in that moment, when you stopped forcing the situation, that the solution appeared out of nowhere. An unexpected phone call, someone offering help, a detail you hadn't noticed before. As if everything was waiting for you to relinquish control so it could finally manifest. It's not magic, it's cosmic law at work. When you respect its flow, Thoth taught that the universe is self-sufficient and self-correcting. It doesn't need you to push life, it needs you to stop hindering it. Harmony only emerges when we stop resisting, and resistance often disguises itself as effort. In moments when you let go, not out of failure but out of true surrender, the universe realigns itself. It's not passivity, it's not negligence, it's trust. Trust, which Thoth called the most powerful vibration of all, because it creates no noise in the invisible field. When you trust, you silence anxiety. And that silence creates the space for the invisible to do its work. Perhaps you've experienced this in a relationship. You insisted, pushed, tried to control the situation, and everything became more difficult. Until one day you chose to let go, to move on. And in that moment, that person came back to you. Maybe it happened at work, but that's how it is. You looked for an opportunity, knocked on every door, and nothing. But when you focused on something else, the offer you longed for suddenly appeared. Thoth taught that the flow of life follows laws that don't obey human logic. And one of these laws says that the universe responds to balance, not excess. When you're emotionally unbalanced, vibrating with anxiety, need, or desperation, you create a chaotic field, and the universe respects that chaos. But when you return to your center, when you let go and trust, the field reorganizes itself. This doesn't mean giving up on your dreams or desires. It means that, after planting them, You must step back and let them grow on their own, like a seed. A farmer doesn't plant a seed and then dig it up every day to check if it has sprouted. He trusts nature's timing. And life works the same way. The problem is that the modern mind doesn't easily accept this. It has been trained to control everything, calculate everything, predict everything. And everything that can't be controlled is seen as a threat. But Thoth warned, the attempt at total control is the root of suffering. The true creator does not control the flow, he collaborates with it. When you let go, the invisible begins to work silently. Not because you've given up, but because you've trusted, and that's when synchronicities happen, unexpected encounters, solutions you never could have planned. The universe acts with an intelligence far beyond your rational mind. But be careful, letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It's not abandoning with indifference. It's remembering peacefully. It's keeping the desire alive in the heart, but without heaviness, without urgency, without anxiety. Those who truly let go proceed in peace, knowing that what is theirs will come to them at the right time. Here, Thoth reveals the hidden principle that governs this flow. And what he teaches has nothing to do with luck or chance. There's a mechanism behind these events, a precise principle that explains why, when you stop pushing, life begins to move. And it's this principle we'll begin to unravel now, the inverse law, the invisible harmony that governs everything. Behind what seems like simple coincidence lies a much deeper and invisible principle, a principle as old as time itself. The hermetic records speak of this law as one of the most hidden secrets of the universe, not because it's difficult to understand, but because it challenges everything the common human mind accepts as real. This is the so-called inverse law, and as the name suggests, it overturns the logic we've been taught. You've been told you must hold on to things so as not to lose them. But Thoth taught that the more you hold on, the more they slip away. True creation happens when you let go. True control appears when you stop trying to control. The universe doesn't need you to pull the strings. It already knows how to weave the fabric of your life without your interference. Thoth explained it this simply. When you create an inner void, a space free from anxiety and resistance, the cosmos automatically fills it. Because the nature of the universe is to fill the void with balance. When there is an open space within you, without fear, without despair, without the need to control everything, that space becomes the channel through which the invisible flows. It is in that void that spontaneous creation occurs. But the human mind resists this idea. It wants to fill every empty space with thoughts, plans, strategies, worries. It wants to be sure of everything. It wants to predict the future, control outcomes, anticipate risks. But the inverse law only works when you let go of control and become an open and available channel. And this is where the hermetic concept of action through non-action comes in. Non-action is not passivity or laziness. It is acting from inner peace, not from anxiety. It's allowing life to flow while remaining alert and available. It's like a candle shining in the darkness. It doesn't fight the darkness, it simply shines. It doesn't have to force the light, it simply is. Thoth taught that the invisible harmony that governs the cosmos doesn't require your effort to function. It's always active. What prevents this harmony from manifesting in your life is constant mental noise, uncontrolled desire, and the fear of loss. When these elements subside, the natural flow reveals itself. And you can see it in so many situations in your life. When you were relaxed, calm, and not forcing anything, things seem to fall into place effortlessly. You met the right people, made intuitive decisions, and noticed obvious solutions that were previously invisible. But when you tried to force them, everything stopped. This isn't a coincidence. It's the inverse law at work, even if you don't realize it. The problem is that this wisdom has been hidden not by chance, but because it challenges the dominant paradigm of success, effort, and competition. Modern society is built on the cult of blind action, where those who do the most, run the fastest, and fight the hardest are supposed to win. But Thoth showed us the opposite. Those who win are those who learn to align themselves with the invisible flow without resistance. When you begin to see that the universe needs not your strength but your harmony, the question that changes everything arises. If effort doesn't create, then what really shapes your reality? The answer Thoth gave millennia ago, but which few understood, spoke of the hidden field within you. A silent field that receives everything you feel is true and transforms it into form, situations, and real experiences. That field is your deepest mind, what we now call the subconscious. But in the hermetic tradition, it was seen as the portal between the invisible and the visible. Humanity's great illusion is to believe that reality responds to what you consciously want. That all you have to do is desire, ask forcefully, repeat positive words, and the universe will obey your command. But Thoth taught the exact opposite. What creates your reality is not desire itself, but the silent feeling you carry deep within your soul. It's not what you say, but what you silently vibrate when no one is listening. Think of the subconscious as fertile soil where every feeling is a seed. If you plant fear, you reap situations that feed that fear. If you plant lack, you gain experiences that confirm the absence. But if you plant certainty, peace, and trust, even without seeing immediate results, those seeds silently germinate and blossom in your external life. The problem is that many people plant one type of seed and expect to reap another. They say they want prosperity but vibrate with worry. They say they want love but vibrate with neediness. They say they want peace but live in anxiety, paralyzed by the fear of tomorrow. And the subconscious doesn't judge this as right or wrong. It simply obeys what it feels is true. Thoth said that the deep mind doesn't reason like the conscious mind. It doesn't understand arguments, justifications, or excuses. It doesn't respond to screams or pleas. It responds to the silent vibrational state. When you feel something is true, even without proof, the hidden field receives that information and begins to shape the reality around you to reflect that internal state. This is why you've often tried everything to achieve something and nothing worked. Because deep down you were vibrating with doubt, you were vibrating with lack. You were trying to create something new with an old vibration. And the subconscious, obediently, simply repeated that pattern. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine feeling something is true even when everything around you shows the opposite. Imagine maintaining peace when the outside world is chaos. Imagine feeling grateful for something that hasn't happened yet. That's the state where the invisible truly begins to work, because there's no resistance. No anxiety, just silent certainty. And it's important to understand that it's not about denying external reality, and it's not about pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It's about acknowledging visible reality, but not letting it control you. It's about maintaining focus on what you want to create while allowing the present to be as it is. Because it's in that balance that the subconscious field remains fertile. The sacred paradox. When you let go, everything comes. When you realize that your deep mind responds to what you feel is true, something happens that may seem absurd. Because the very moment you stop needing what you so desperately desired, reality begins to bring you what seemed impossible. And it's not magic. It's the natural flow of creation acting according to the cosmic laws that Thoth taught millennia ago. He called it the sacred paradox. That moment when, as you let go, everything comes. When you stop chasing what was unattainable, it begins to move toward you. The human mind, trapped in the conditioning of effort, doesn't easily accept this. It wants to believe that he who fights the hardest wins. That he who insists the hardest achieves. But Thoth showed another path, a silent path where it is not force that moves things, but harmony. And it is here that the inverse law reveals its purest face. It is not your effort that creates, it is your surrender. It is not your control that manifests, it is your peace. Think of the moments when something finally happened after you had stopped expecting it. Perhaps an answer that took months to arrive, but appeared just when you had decided to let go. Perhaps an unexpected encounter with an important person just when you had stopped looking for it. Or that career opportunity that came the moment you chose another path, no longer waiting for it. Those moments were not coincidences. They were reflections of the law silently at work, when for the first time you stopped interfering. Thoth said that as long as you hold on tightly, the universe cannot move what is already in your hands. But when you let go, Space is created for something greater to happen. It's like opening your hands to let the river flow, instead of trying to grab the water. And that doesn't mean giving up on your dreams. It doesn't mean giving up what you want. It means trusting so deeply that you no longer need to live in pursuit of it. It means freeing desire from the prison of anxiety and letting it flow into the fertile field of trust. Imagine a person who spends years seeking recognition. They strive, they try to please, they crave approval everywhere, but only when they stop chasing approval and begin to act authentically does true recognition appear. Or imagine someone who deeply desires love, but lives in need and fear of loneliness. The day that person finds peace in their own company, someone special crosses their path. But why does this happen? Because desire has ceased to be a need and has become an expression of their completeness. Thoth said that the universe responds to your deepest vibration, not to what you say you want. And when you vibrate in need, even if you ask for something positive, you emit a frequency of lack. But when you let go and be at peace, your vibration naturally rises and attracts what is in harmony with that new frequency. Here's the paradox. The more you feel you need something, the further away it seems. But when you feel complete, when you no longer depend on it for happiness, it comes closer. Not as a punishment, not as a test, but because there's finally vibrational space for its arrival. Life doesn't punish you when something doesn't happen. It's just waiting for the moment when you stop vibrating scarcity and start vibrating trust. Because it's in that state that the invisible can finally work freely. And perhaps now you're starting to see how many times you've blocked the natural flow, trapped in anxiety, fear, and uncontrolled desire. But the good news is that a single moment of true surrender can change everything. It doesn't take years of practice. A single moment of silent, trusting surrender is enough. But all this only works if the seed of your desire is planted in the right field. Because many let go, but they plant it in the wrong soil. And so, even after letting go, the harvest doesn't come. And that's exactly what we'll talk about now. And this is where many stumble without realizing it. Because letting go doesn't mean abandoning the process of creation. Letting go is part of the journey. But first, there's something even more important. The moment of the seed. Thoth said that the act of planting a desire in the invisible field is a sacred moment. And like any sacred act, it requires reverence, clarity, and emotional purity. Because there's no point in letting go of a desire born contaminated by anxiety. There's no point in trying to harvest something planted in the soil of fear. In the hermetic tradition, Thoth taught in the Judy rituals that the true creator doesn't create in mental noise. He waits for the moment when his mind is quiet, his heart is calm, and his emotion is pure. And what is a pure emotion? It's a state in which desire isn't mixed with desperation, a sense of lack, or fear of failure. It's a desire born of completeness, not need. Imagine the subconscious as a fertile, silent field. When you plant a seed there, that seed absorbs the energy of the moment it was planted. If you plant in haste, the seed absorbs urgency. If you plant in fear, it absorbs fear. And what will grow will be a reality imbued with those feelings. But if you plant with peace, clarity, and trust, that's what the seed will bring. This is why the emotional state at the moment of creation is everything. Thoth said that the ideal time to plant is when the conscious mind is distracted and relaxed, because then the subconscious is most open. The ancients knew this. That's why rituals were performed at dawn, in the silence of the night, or during the transitions between sleep and wakefulness. Not out of superstition, but because in those moments the rational mind weakens and the subconscious becomes receptive. No elaborate ceremonies are necessary. Just create a calm internal environment. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, let go of the day's thoughts, and in that moment of silence, visualize what you desire as if it were already real. Not as a request, but as a silent acknowledgement. You're not asking, you're acknowledging. You're not anxiously wishing, you're gratefully accepting. It simply is. And few have access to this power. And few have access to this power. And few have access to this power. Protective silence. How not to interfere with the miracle in progress. And this is the point where Thoth himself gave a subtle but powerful warning. He said, "When the earth is fertile, the best thing the farmer can do is step back and trust." And this is where many stumble. Human anxiety wants to touch the soil every moment, check if the seed has sprouted, manage the harvest timing. But divine energy doesn't respond to those who monitor, it responds to those who trust. To this at this stage, the worst enemy is not the outside world, not circumstances. It's the restless mind that, in its haste, suffocates the invisible that was just taking shape. This is why Thoth taught protective silence, a state in which you have already planted your intention and now guard your inner space like a sacred sanctuary, without allowing doubts, fears, or anxieties to contaminate the fertile ground of manifestation. But this is not a passive silence, not the silence of one who resignedly waits. It is an active, vibrant silence that protects. Imagine a warrior guarding the entrance to a temple. He makes no noise, but his presence keeps threats at bay. This is how your inner silence should be. Protective, vigilant, yet serene. But how do you protect this vibrational field? First, by distancing yourself from everything that fuels doubt. Negative news, people who weaken your faith, conversations that reinforce scarcity. Then, nourish thoughts that foster trust. Memories of times the universe has already surprised you, gratitude for what hasn't yet arrived but which you already recognize as yours. Another crucial aspect is to stop interfering with your creation. Many, without realizing it, try to hasten the miracle. They begin to obsessively visualize, repeat empty affirmations, search for signs every second. And Thoth warned, when you disturb the soil too much, you kill the root. Creation needs space to breathe. It needs silence to form beyond the rational mind. Protect your field as if you were guarding something sacred. When fearful thoughts arise, don't fight them, observe them and let them pass. When anxiety knocks, don't get involved. Return to the silent center of your inner certainty. In that state, your vibration remains clear and the invisible continues to work silently. And here is an even deeper revelation. Because there's a level where even visualization isn't necessary, where you no longer have to repeat intentions, where everything is already so aligned within you that the universe has no choice but to respond. It's the stage of silent faith, a frequency so pure and elevated that it doesn't need words, images, or mental effort. It simply is, and few have access to this power. Here begins the mystery of true faith. Thoth said that faith isn't waiting for something to happen, it's living as if it had already happened. And this isn't achieved with fine words or external posturing. It's achieved with the inner silence of one who knows. A silence that doesn't ask, doesn't plead, doesn't doubt, simply vibrates in certainty. True faith doesn't shout at the universe, it whispers in the heart. It doesn't have to convince reality, because it's already in harmony with it. And in that silence, in the space devoid of the sound of doubt, creation happens faster and more fluidly than any technique can. Now you will learn how to inhabit this silent state of certainty. How to magnetize reality without having to repeat your intentions 1,000 times or frantically visualize what you desire. The power of silent creation is available to those who can sustain the vibration without needing external confirmation. And those who doubt its possibility will now see real examples of people who have reached this state and completely changed the direction of their lives without noise, without forced effort, simply by aligning themselves with this invisible force, and no one can stop you. The lifestyle aligned with the invisible. While many remain stuck in effort and doubt, some, by letting go of control, see their lives reorganize around them. These are stories not told in ordinary books, but which silently echo among those who walk the hidden corridors of manifestation. A man who for years had struggled with debt and failure, trying everything and forcing results without success, one day decided to stop, not in the sense of giving up, but of letting go. He abandoned worry and, instead of chasing, began to vibrate as if already in balance. Within weeks, without seeking it, a job opportunity arose in the field she loved, with an income far greater than she had ever planned. A woman, tired of relationships that weren't flowing, did the unthinkable. She stopped looking for someone to fill her emotional void. She turned inward and began living in harmony with her own company. Soon after, without seeking or waiting, She met someone whose energy matched exactly the peace she had cultivated within herself. It wasn't effort, it was resonance. And perhaps the most impressive story is that of someone who was fighting a disease that medicine deemed incurable. She stopped fighting the disease and began to nurture the invisible health that already existed within her. It wasn't a denial of physical reality, it was alignment with spiritual reality. Silently, without forcing, her body began to respond, and days later, tests confirmed what seemed impossible. Healing was there, not as a mystical miracle, but as a natural consequence of someone who had stopped resisting and allowed the divine order to flow. These are just a few examples of what Thoth taught in the halls of Amenti. The invisible works when you don't obstruct its path, when you step aside and allow the intelligence of the cosmos to organize what you could never achieve alone. It's not theory, it's living practice. It's a law that doesn't require blind faith, but the willingness to stop interfering with the natural flow of life. The inverse law doesn't ask you to do more. It asks you to trust more, to resolve less with your mind, and to allow the invisible to do what only it can do. It's not an invitation to passivity, but to active trust. Life begins to conspire in your favor when you stop fighting it. But now comes the most crucial point, why it's not enough to apply all this occasionally, like an emergency technique. True transformation occurs when you make it a new lifestyle, when letting go of control becomes your natural state, when trust becomes a daily habit. And when that happens, no one can stop you. Here, Thoth teaches us that those who live in alignment with universal laws become unshakable. Not because challenges don't exist, but because challenges no longer have power over those who live at that frequency. That person doesn't have to prove anything to the world, because their vibration is already living proof of who they are. Bringing the reverse law into daily life means acting without anxiety, desiring without need, creating without force. Waking up every day with clear intentions but without attachment to results. Working with dedication but letting go of the weight of expectations. Speaking to the universe but knowing how to be silent to listen for the answer. This practice isn't effort, it's a state of being. The frequency of silent certainty becomes your inner environment. And in that environment, life flows, the right people appear, doors open, situations resolve themselves effortlessly. When you live in that state, the outside world may try to shake you, but it won't succeed, because your foundation is not outside, it's inside. And whoever has that foundation, as Thoth said, walks on the waters of chaos without sinking. If you've come this far, it's because something inside you has already begun to awaken. If this journey has awakened something within you, don't let it fade. Leave a like, type "remember" in the comments if you feel the universe whispering to you, and hit subscribe. This isn't just engagement, it's our sacred pact with the cosmos. Your like is a cosmic seal, your comment a secret handshake between awakened souls, your subscription an anchor in this sea of transformation. Thank you for walking this path with me. May your every step from this moment forward be guided by celestial winds and grounded in unshakable power. The world has been waiting for your light. Until we meet again, Star Traveler. May synchronicities dance at your feet, may truth reveal itself in the spaces between breaths, and above all, never forget the infinite potential that pulses through your veins. Our paths will cross where miracles are born.